All right, welcome back to Surviving 1984 Garden of Eden. We're here to talk about the pre-merge, which had its fun moments, but like has not been the most exciting. Uh, we have all unanimous votes so far, but we still got things to talk about. We still got exciting people left in the game, some fun things that happened pre-merge, and I couldn't think of a better person to talk to about this than the man himself, the myth, the legend, the man who runs the show. If it wasn't for him, we would not be here. Michael, how's it
Uh,
going?
I'm pretty good. I'm tired. This game has been it's been interesting, even though it's not been like that like it's been I don't know. It's been quick and easy, I feel, but it's also been
Mhm,
interesting to see how things are going behind the scenes of those interesting votes. Um, so yeah, I'm
mhm.
excited to talk about it.
No, I'm super excited. Uh, but let's talk about some of our fallen players since the last time we talked. First, we lost Hunter in a unanimous vote. Hunter, Michael, how do you feel about Hunter this season?
Hunter was honestly like a very interesting player, like not a typical like game bot that you would see.
Hmm.
Hunter gave a lot of entertainment. Um, Gameplay was like so-so. So I don't know, that round I was just like obviously with Rodney going
Hmm.
to exile, like I had no idea what was going to happen. I honestly thought that Danny and Hunter were going to work together with Danny's extra vote and take out
Hmm.
Curtis or Chris. So seeing Hunter go there was kind of a surprise for me, but I also was not around as much to watch those conversations happen. So
Hmm.
um yeah.
No, like let's keep it a buck. Ronnie was so lucky that he went to SL because he would have been
Thousand
gone
percent.
there.
He
Like,
was a goner, like
a
6 feet
gone.
under, like no chance. Yeah.
Correct. But like truly, once Ronnie was in, I could have saw Hunter, Danny, or Chris even going. Like any of
Hmm.
them, it was plausible in my mind. I really do think. First off, great teamwork by Curtis and Chris in flipping
Hmm.
Danny against Hunter. But I think Hunter did not do himself much favors with his paranoia. But like you
Yeah.
said, Hunter's like not the best strategist gameplay, and I think Hunter will tell you that. I think
Yeah.
Hunter will tell you he's here more for the fun and for the causing drama, which he did cause a lot of during his short stint here. Um,
Yeah.
but but I respect, even if I was baffled by some of the decisions, I respect the player who's going to show up and give what was given, and we will always have his his blindfold cup stacking video.
Goodness.
But next we lose. I think I would say the biggest hitter of the pre merge, the person who probably would have been the biggest strategist if they made it to this point. Alex went
Yes.
home after the swap. After he chose his own team, he chose his
A
own team, and he
mess.
was voted out unanimously. Talk to me about Alex.
Sorry, I was reading a message in a prop chat.
So good.
Alex is somebody that like I was really excited to see play this game because he played 1984 live. So I've known him for a while now, and so seeing like he literally had such a good setup team. He had many different avenues he could have worked with, and then he just kind of like tanked, and it was really
Mhm,
disappointing. But also like good gameplay on everybody else for sussing him out so fast.
mhm,
But like he had the three with his original tribe with Kennedy and
yep,
Antoinette. He had the three with Chris and Aaron. If he would have just made that into a five, like they could have easily ran it and taken out like Danny would have been such an easy boot.
yes.
It would have been so easy to take Danny out.
Mhm,
I think Chris would have even taken Danny out if he needed to. And
I agree.
the fact that Danny didn't go there was kind of ridiculous. Like Alex easily could have targeted Danny, and I think it would have easily went through. But
Like I am a big proponent personally of there's no such thing as playing too hard. I think there is such thing as playing too hard poorly. And I think Alex did too much poorly and thus got himself caught in a mess. But I was and truly had he just like stuck with Kennedy and Antoinette, which I think was his downfall. But and I don't think
mhm.
he I think he was willing to lose Kennedy, but was like did not want to lose Kennedy. But the fact that he even entertained it is what like ultimately turned Kennedy against him. Uh, and I think it really sank his game the way Danny and Aaron and Chris was able to suss things out. Like it was very interesting. I'm still upset with you, Chris and Aaron, because I want the first blind side of the season with Antoinette being shot. Comma, but
Literally.
it happened. And I was happy for Alex. I wanted Alex to play this game. I was really excited. And it's such that Alex went where he went, but I understood it.
Yeah,
Now,
like, what was it I was going to say?
got this.
Oh, yes. Danny going to Antoinette right afterwards and being like, I'm so glad you were filled in on the vote. Like, the fact that Antoinette did not read into that and be like, I was not a part of the voter. It's like, what? Like, Antoinette, girl, like, I've heard so much better from you. Like, come on. Ugh.
like legit, everyone was in on it except for Antoinette, which is wild. And like Antoinette was Alex's number one ally in the story. And the fact that Antoinette was even guessing, like, was I his number one ally? Like he did all this stuff without me.
Literally.
But yeah, I think there's like a lot of signs that Antoinette was in bigger danger than she realized. We'll get to Antoinette when we get to Antoinette because I have my thoughts. But it was a round that I thought was fun. I thought it was a fun round with a understanding. And sadly, the next boots Gary had to walk for the game for personal reasons. We are proud. We completely understand. We wish him and his family all nothing but good things and health and good health. I don't have too much to say about Gary because I think in the game Gary was not that big of a factor in a lot of things that happened.
Unfortunately, Gary, like, I don't think Gary ever went to a tribal, right? Or if he did, it was a very easy one. Yeah, he never went to a tribal.
Because he went to exile that round.
Right. So he never really had to worry about anything. I did like the fact that he went so hard on exile to get the power that he ended up with. But obviously it didn't come to fruition at all. So I feel like we did have high hopes for Gary. He just wasn't able to deliver. Obviously part of that is just because he had to leave, and that's not his fault. So it is what it is. I wish we could have seen more from him because I've heard a lot about him, especially from Tyler. And I think he could have had a good chance going into the merge. But obviously things happen and that's okay. And yeah.
No, like had Gary not walked, I do believe there's a non-zero chance Gary is in merge. Even though I do love everyone who's in the merge, but I think Gary did have potential, but it was not seen. He did win the Forbidden Fruit advantage, which would have allowed him to see the vote count of any tribal. And he was able to gift it to our next boot, which was Autumn. Sad to see Autumn. Autumn's such a sweet person, like such a lovely soul. But Autumn was not in a great spot, especially in the swap tribe that she was in. Like at least on her first tribe, there was Tara. And we'll get to Tara. But like I think Autumn just being the least communicative on her new tribe, and plus potentially having an advantage from exile, really sealed her fate. Like no one was sticking up for Autumn. Like Autumn did not have that person.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked Autumn, and I liked that she was putting herself out there for this game. I think because of exile, like you said, she just didn't really have much of a shot to bond with people during those rounds. Because she didn't have the original time to bond, and then the whole time during the vote, and all that time, like it was just a long time for her to be away. And so unfortunately somebody that had already not been able to make very many social relationships because she obviously had won every challenge so far. So she just had a bad draw, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. And I think had things played out different, again, Autumn is another person I could see in the merge. Like had she went to the other tribe, I think Louise would have protected her. Even though I think Louise is more of a person for the active and Autumn was not as active as other people. I think Louise and Fredo felt good about Autumn enough to like protect. And she did not have that with like Aaron on this tribe. And let's talk about the last pre-merger. Tara started off the game. We had a lot of high hopes for Tara. she went in first challenge and got a half idol, which is exciting. And then she showed up for the rest of the challenges.
Pretty
But
much, yeah. Um, we saw a lot of Tara on the Zooms. A lot of Tara on the Zooms, and that was unfortunately it. I don't know if she even realizes that that was like that she should have been doing more. I don't know what other games she plays, so she really just didn't do much talking with people, unfortunately, and that's just kind of what got her sent out. Like I don't like she voted for Rodney, but like I don't remember there being much conversation even for Rodney's name. I don't know if anybody said it to her. So that was just interesting to me, which is funny because I feel like the same thing happened with the autumn vote. So like I don't know if people just like are assuming that names are being said or what, but I'm hoping that changes moving forward because
I would say from the essay interview with Autumn, no one told her her name, so she knew it was her. So she just voted for Danny just because. But Tara, I don't know if Tara knew what was happening in the game. And I know Tara doesn't like to talk to people, but this is not the game to play if you don't like to talk to folks. And I don't know if someone needs to shake Tara for the next time she plays a game like this and be like, listen, you need to be around more. Like, just because you're staying safe does not mean you can't be having conversation, getting to know these folks.
right.
Because I'm be honest with you. I think there's like 2 or 3 people that voted out Tara where it was not good for the game to vote out Tara.
Yeah.
But because Tara was not around, they did not see a reason to fight for her to stay and was okay with her going.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But let's get to what we all been waiting for, the merge. We finally made it after a lot of twists and turns. People been begging for it to happen for a while now, and we finally gave it to them. I and I think we said this several times in the project. Like I am happy with the 11 that made the merge. Like I don't know who from the pre-merge I would swap out, but because I think all these 11, whether it's strategy or entertainment or something, they're providing something. And that's what I want more. I don't care if you're a good or bad player. Like they're giving something, and I think I want to highlight their journey, each person individual in alphabetical order, because I think if we do that, the most interesting person is last, and I'm okay with that.
Sounds about right. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that this is probably based on how the game has played out, it's probably the best 11 that could have made it. So I'm excited to see how it plays out. They're finally starting to be more active, so we're getting a little bit more from them. This group of a lot of newbies, so I'm excited to talk about them.
Like Amaya's a newbie, Danny's a newbie, Daniel's the newbie. Kennedy
as well. Yeah.
I don't think she's familiar with the video parts of these games.
Right.
Yeah. So we got a decent number of people that are finding the ropes. And let's start with Amaya, someone who I think had a lot of hype going into the game. I think some of it has fizzled out a little, but she's still a force. She's still in the game. I wish she was around more, but like Amaya comes into the game, volunteers for the first challenge to go first, and because of that, she wins a block of vote, which is a big thing. She goes on a tribe. Everyone loves Amaya. Like Amaya is like loved universally. They lose the challenge. She does not go to tribal. She goes to exile, where she competes in a challenge where she could win a fire idol. Unfortunately for Amaya, she does not win and she loses her vote. So Amaya does not tell anyone. Does not tell anyone that she lost her vote. So she keeps that quiet. Pause. In a cast where a lot of people tell a lot of people things, Amaya is one of the few people who does not like tell people stuff. Yeah, I respect that.
I was actually on a call with Amaya and Fredo, where Fredo was going through all the people that went first in the challenge. And then Amaya just kind of sits there because Fredo was like, who went first in your team? And Amaya just like blushes. And then he was like, is it you? And she's like, uh-huh. And so like she obviously had to tell. So she ended up telling Fredo that she has the block of vote. But I think that's like the only person that she's told. And like she really is doing a good job keeping those things close to her heart. And I do think it's also interesting because of her loss of a vote. Like obviously I read the votes, whatever, on the third vote I say, Tara, you're voted out, and nobody has thought about it at all. That was not actually enough if there were 6 votes. Nobody's thought twice about it. Nobody's called me out on like, oh, did you read it wrong? Nothing. So like, and so I've not had to be like, oh, well, the vote count was 4-1 or anything like that. So Amaya just scraped right through there. I haven't really heard anybody like sussing her out for having a power. She's honestly done a pretty good job making people think she just didn't get anything. And while I do think she's probably the most inactive of the cast right now, everybody still seems to love her. So she's doing something right.
Like, don't you just hate people like Amaya who doesn't even have to try? And just
Literally, like I try my hardest every single game. I've never won a single time. Like, come on. Also, I think something we need to highlight with Amaya is Curtis. Amaya and Curtis met up in person because I guess they live like 5 minutes away from each other. So I think that's like obviously an important note. So now I think Amaya trusts Curtis probably a lot more than Curtis trusts Amaya, but I think that's kind of Curtis's goal, was to get Amaya in person. And now that he has, I think he's kind of got her. But I guess Amaya leaked something Curtis said or something. So I think there's a little distrust there, but I don't know. It sounds like Amaya's doing pretty good.
Like, I think Amaya's doing pretty good. I think I can see trouble for her down the horizon, not anytime soon. And I will even say, like, yes, she did leak her block a vote, but I think people can put 2 and 2 together because she talked about how she wouldn't even said anything if Danny didn't say people who went first got power. And so I think I like to see what Amaya could do. I would like for Amaya to be more around. I think the issue is, like, I think she said Curtis is her closest ally. But, I think Amaya can fly, especially if, like, Amaya loses Curtis. I'm intrigued to see what Amaya does.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Because let's also talk, when Amaya went to Exile, everyone was losing their minds. They're like, oh my gosh, Amaya needs to be here. I don't know what to do without Amaya. So Amaya would make a great cult leader one day, and I believe that with my entire chest.
No, absolutely. Like, I saw her interview, and it was like almost immediately we're like, yep, she's on the cast. We love her. She's winning. That's it. Like, we loved her, and then she was the first one revealed. They all loved her. Like, yeah.
Like I'm like a little behind the scenes. Legit, 2 sentences into her interview, they're like, Amaya is winning this thing. Amaya
literally, like it took, like, she just had to show up. Like, she didn't even have to talk. Like, we saw her. We're like, yep, that's the winner. So yeah, we like fell in love with Amaya like immediately, which is why I feel like if she was just a tad more active, she would have this game by the like.
I agree. Like, I think so. Which, let's talk about someone who I also wish was a tad more active. Let's go to Antoinette now. Yes. Antoinette, I don't think Antoinette understand how rocky of a road she had getting to this point.
Literally.
First off, let's talk about the highlight. Antoinette finds the idol early.
Literally day 1, right?
Like, it's not day 1, early day 2. Yeah. Like, but it was like really soon, and has not told anyone about the idol.
Yep.
So another person who can keep her mouth shut. I respect that, and I think in the first vote, she was safe. She was close with Alex, and her and Alex was debating between if we wanted to take out Cody or Daniel. I personally believe they made the wrong choice. But like, Antoinette still has a relationship with Kennedy. I think she still has a relationship with Daniel. They swap, and Alice is doing a lot. We talked about earlier. Antoinette is left out, but Antoinette is not getting away scotch-free from it. Just because she's being left out, people still looked at her and Alice as a duo and gained mistrust from Antoinette. And Antoinette was not talking a lot during the discussion period, which sketched even more people out because people felt like Antoinette was like very safe. So I think even though Alex lost, I think if like Autumn didn't come back, there was like a non-zero chance that Antoinette is the next boot. And I don't know if Antoinette even knows that she was really on anyone's radar to this point.
Yeah,
Like just like
I'm not sure
Rachel.
what's
Look,
going on with her.
I want to say real quick. Rachel went home, first person voted out, with an idol, and no one has clocked it. Like I've listened to people today being like, "Who has that idol?" And it's not Rachel because she would have
From
played
what
it.
I've heard, everybody's convinced that Rodney has the idol. And then I've heard Curtis saying a little, I think it's Curtis, saying a little bit about they think Antoinette might have it. So I think there's a little bit of suspicion there, but I don't think anybody's clocked her officially for it. So, and yeah, she hasn't told anybody, so.
No, but like, and I think my biggest thing is will Antoinette, and that's been my question, because I don't think she went to well, she did go to another tribe, but it was clear that was going to be Autumn. And Chris and Aaron did a good job, I think, at the end of the voting window, making Antoinette feel somewhat safe. Like, listen, this is what we want. We want to make this move with Alex. How do you feel? And Antoinette was like, okay, I'm on board. But then, like you said earlier, Danny almost spilled the beans to Antoinette, but Antoinette did not catch up. So I'm nervous about Antoinette's reads this season. I know Antoinette's a good player. I'm nervous for her. I'm being honest with you, Michael.
Yeah, I completely agree. This is not the Antoinette I expected. But I'm excited to see what she ends up giving us. I'm praying that she uses the idol correctly at some point. Even if not on herself, like I want that idol used correctly so that it makes a big move and a big splash. If she could get somebody like Curtis with the idol, like I think she has a pretty good chance of doing some damage. But yeah, I don't know. Unfortunately, I just don't know that she has the capital. I think she is making some relationships, but like the people she needs to be working on are like Rodney and Aaron and Chris, and I just don't know if those people all will be willing to work with her, and I don't know if that's even who she wants to work with. So that's where it's gonna be like tricky.
Like Antoinette is working on her relationship with Rodney, which I think of the three people you named, which I do agree with all those names. Those are people she should get in good with. I don't know if how far that can take her relationship with Rodney, and we'll talk about Rodney when we get to Rodney. But like, I think Antoinette. I think if I think anything about Antoinette, I think Antoinette feels like she is not in as good as a position she wants to be, and I think when you have that mindset of you, I think you can make moves. And in the back of my head, I'm like, Antoinette is a good enough player to make a move, so I want to see how she goes.
Right.
Let's talk about Chris Yu.
Chris.
I'm be honest. I have had fluctuating feelings about Chris Yu. I think Chris Yu is because Chris Yu first found Curtis, and Chris Yu was locked in with Curtis. Like that's how Chris Yu started this game. That's his number one. That's his ride or die. And I think even to this day, Chris Yu is loyal to Curtis, which I think is not a bad place to be if you're someone like Chris. He was. I say this to this day. When Hunter went, Chris, you should have went. Chris, I'm being buck with you. Yeah. You should have went home then. But he did good work with Curtis. With flipping Danny against Hunter, which is good. Swap them into the new tribes. He quickly builds a relationship with Aaron to the fact where Aaron confides in him about her advantage that she has, which is like amazing social work on Chris. Chris gets a good job of getting in good with Antoinette. I think Chris builds the fact that Danny and Curtis were separated. Chris used that time, and I think unintentionally, to build a better bond with Danny, so that way Danny feels closer to Chris. Like I think Chris is a really good social player, and I want to see Chris in this merge flex his strategic muscles and use the social capital that he built, because he has a lot. I would argue Chris has the most.
Yeah, I honestly think because of Danny and Curtis being separated for a little bit, I do think Chris has a little bit more wiggle room than Curtis even does. Even though I think it appears like a lot of people trust Curtis, I think those same people trust Chris, and some of them even more. Like that duo with Aaron and Chris was like so quick. And I almost think that Alex kind of set it up and then Like he set it up and was like, here, run, have fun, bye.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that, like, I really like that duo, and I'm
Hmm.
hoping that they can do some work in this game, and I hope that it doesn't involve Curtis, because I don't want Curtis to have an easy run. And now if Curtis makes it far in the game and is against Chris and Aaron the whole time, like that would be like so good. But
Hmm.
I would love it if Chris and Curtis could like separate and do different things, because I think it would make for a more interesting game. Um, but yeah, I think Chris has a lot of capital. I
Hmm.
just don't know if he is going to use it how he should.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, I agree with you. And I think that someone like Aaron is going to wake him up sooner or later. I think
mhm.
she's going to smack him. And I think, let me see how he responds to that smack. Does he be like, wake up and be like, oh, wait, this is a better route for me to win? Or does he be like, Curtis, Aaron just spat me. That's not
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. Yeah. I
So,
think I do agree, like, because Erin did mention Curtis's name in her prod chat. So like I think
mhm.
if there is any way that Erin like tries to tell Chris, like, hey, we should go for Curtis, like how Chris responds to that is going to determine a lot of how this game ends.
Mhm. I agree. I agree. Now let's get to the person who I will say has had the most wild journey and all self-made, all problems self-made. So let's
Oh
talk about Danny.
my
Like
gosh, Danny.
I, we almost did our first podcast after the first vote because Danny was freaking out so much. Danny created an alliance with Rachel and Chris called the non-Californians because the Californians Hunter and Curtis and Rodney are going to band up and take them out. Then she goes to um Chris and Curtis being like, Rachel is shady. Rachel needs to go. Like Danny
Um,
was like doing a lot for the very first vote, and Danny had the extra vote. They went first in the first challenge, and they had an extra vote, and they had this power and did not know what to do with it. They were running around with their head cut off. They trusted Hunter, then they didn't trust Hunter. Hunter was the number one. Like they could throw Hunter away. Ultimately, threw Hunter
yeah,
away. For Curtis and Chris. Um, Danny was a lot pre-swap. And
yeah.
I believe this was the Danny show for the first like 3 rounds.
I agree. Like the fact that Danny has not used the extra vote yet is insane to me.
Yes.
Especially with them being on such a small tribe. Danny
Mhm,
could have literally grabbed one person between Curtis, Chris, and Hunter and said,
mhm,
okay, who do we want? Let's do it. And it would have happened because
mhm,
nobody had an idol.
mhm.
And so Danny literally had pick of the litter
Yes.
and didn't use it, which was very interesting to me. Because like if I was in that position, I'm
Mhm.
absolutely getting my pick of the glitter.
Right.
So yeah, that was very interesting. I think like
I was no,
ugh,
okay. Finish things.
you're good.
Finish your thought.
I think Danny in the swap phase was really good. Danny should have
Mhm.
left and didn't.
Yes.
Like every vote that they went to. um, so yeah, I think Danny's like surprising me a lot because of how many times they've been able to get out of sticky situations.
Mhm.
So I don't know what my projection for them is. I do think that they could go sooner rather than later, but for entertainment value, I hope not. So
No, and I'm gonna say this right now. Like Danny is easily the most polarizing person on this cast, but you have an opinion about Danny. Like I think you can go with anyone else. Be like, I don't really have a strong opinion about them. You have a strong opinion about Danny. I happen to like Danny, except when Danny talks about Roddy. But but like no, but truly, and I would argue because I think Rachel goes home. I think Danny is the one who said that. I would argue between Chris and Danny. Depends who you want to give more uh percentage or sway to. Like, is one of the people that started the push on sending out Alex because Alex is doing a lot. I think Danny did a good job building a good relationship with someone like Kennedy. Uh, Gotten closer with Chris Yu. I think Danny really did mellow out, and I think this is partially because they lost Hunter, and Dem and Hunter, they were just like turning it up together, and it was like without that force in there, I think Danny was able to chill down a lot. I do agree Danny should have been the first boot, but I think Danny did a good job, and I believe if you told me Danny can land anyone for the first person voted out at Live Night to second place, and I'd believe you.
Yeah, I feel like Danny could win the game, but like it would take a lot. Like Danny would have to make some big moves and make a great speech. And I agree with kind of what you were kind of hinting at there. Like I don't really think Danny has a chance to actually pull it off, but we'll see.
Like up until Danny is voted out, Danny is going to be fun and is going to be in the midst some way somehow, whether it's as a vote out or where the vote goes, and that's a fun player to have.
Yeah, but, I agree with you.
But let's talk about a player who I can easily get seen being pushed on the wayside. Let's talk about Daniel.
I really do like Daniel. I just don't know if he's quite realized the activity level that this game takes, because like I think Daniel's being active, but I think other people are not taking Daniel as active, even though I really do think Daniel's putting a lot of energy into this game. I just don't know if he realizes how much energy everybody else is putting in. Currently Daniel has no vote, but with the twist we're doing, it's kind of whatever. But he also has a half idol from the challenge. So like Daniel is in a position where he could do some damage if he's able to somehow find the other half idol. If he possibly ends up at Exile this next round, I believe he could get one, which would be great for him, but that's it. A lot would have to happen. Like a lot of things would have to happen. He would have to lose tonight's challenge, get a vote from Exile, be the one randomized, and then also randomly pick it. So a lot of things have to line up for that to happen. But and also like with Chris having the other one, I don't see those two coming together and being like, I have a half idol. Do you have the other? Like that's never gonna happen unless they make it to like final like 6 or 5 together, and at that point the half idols don't matter. So so I really don't see those coming together unless they pull a Stephanie Fagan in Ascendant season 1 and be like, hey, I have this half, I would like to stay, does anybody have the other? But they're not going to be able to say I found the other half too. So that's not going to happen. So I think the only way that they form a full idol is one of them goes to here and gets the other half, or somebody important to them does. So
yes,
but they both fucking told Curtis about it.
That was my next thing about Daniel. Well, before I get to my issues with Daniel, I will say I do think Daniel wants to be here, and I think Daniel wants to be a force. Like the one vote he went to, he was legit the first person to throw out a name. And Cody, and it almost bit him in the butt. I'm glad it didn't. I'm really happy it did not. But like I don't think Daniel is afraid, like a person that's just going to be like, oh, what's the vote? Okay, we're doing it. I think Daniel wants to be a part of the things that happen in this game. I don't know if Daniel will have the opportunity to. And here's the thing with Daniel, right? I think you have Kennedy right there, and I thought Daniel and Kennedy were going to ride this out. But he spilled everything to Curtis. His half idol, the fact that he lost the vote, like everything. He gave his heart and soul to Curtis. And like, here's the issue, Daniel. 3 people have already done that.
Literally,
I think what's helping Daniel right now, right? And Daniel, this might be hard here. Of the people who have given their heart to Curtis, you are honestly the least scary right now. So I think Curtis is like, you know what, you're valuable. But I want to see Daniel do more. And I think, here's what I think. I think if Kennedy falls in with like the Aaron crew, I think Kennedy might be able to shake a little sense into Daniel. But I don't know if Daniel's going to find that sense by himself.
Yeah.
I like Daniel. I think Daniel has a lot of promise. Um, like
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this right now. I think Daniel will do great on a second chance season.
Yeah, I think once Daniel kind of knows what he's supposed to do, like Daniel's next game, I think
Yes.
Daniel probably wins or at least makes it final five. Like I
Yes.
genuinely think that. I think once Daniel knows the activity level he needs to put in, and I like I said, I genuinely think he's putting in as much effort as he thinks he's supposed to. So yeah, I think something we didn't say with Amaya, on like the big zooms after merge, Amaya and Daniel were the two that were on those the least, I believe. I think Daniel did end up hopping on them for part of it, but the main part where it was
Yeah.
like most people,
He was on it.
Daniel and Amaya were the two on it the least.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's gonna hurt him or not, but I think just like I don't think anybody has actually said that that's anything against him, but I think that that's indirectly going to cause issues for Daniel because that was time he could have been spending bonding
Yeah.
and he didn't. So
Like, and I think the issue is like the people who truly care for Daniel don't see it as an issue. like that's the problem. And I need to, and he really needs someone like Curtis to care about him more and be like, yo, homie, you need to step it up. Or like someone like Antoinette to be like, yo, Daniel, you need to step it up. But I like Daniel at the end of the day. And
yeah.
let's go with someone who does have a lot of agency in this game though, who could be a force depending how things play out. Let's talk about Aaron.
Yes. Ugh, love her.
Like let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a buck. Aaron had a slow start to the game, but she was on a winning tribe. And luckily for her, not only was she on a winning tribe, she was on a winning tribe with Tara. So she really didn't have to do much besides like hop on every like couple days and be like, "Oh, what's good?" But even then, like she did build a good relationship with Luis and Fredo. They felt good about Aaron. And then once we swapped, Aaron quickly fell in with people like Chris. Aaron got a good relationship with Danny. Aaron shared her idol with Chris, which is fine, but she was part of the movement to take out Alice. And I think Aaron is a player who is smart and is itchy and ready to make a move. Like you said, we brought up Curtis so many times. I can't wait to get Curtis. But legit, if someone was going to make a move against Curtis, it is Aaron. Talk to me about Aaron.
Yeah, I really like Aaron. I told her to play and she applied. So I've been excited to watch her play. Yeah, I feel like she hasn't had to do too much, but she's also done enough. Like you have like Tara who didn't have to do much and didn't do anything, but then you have Aaron who I think didn't have to do much but still did stuff, and I don't think it's overwhelming, and I also don't think it's underwhelming either. Like I think she's doing just enough to keep herself bonded with people without overdoing it and making people scared of her. So like I genuinely do think Aaron has a pretty good shot at this game. I think that she has an in with Aaron or with Chris, and I'm hoping that I'm really hoping for the sake of entertainment that she pulls Chris away from Curtis. If not, like it is what it is. But which I mean, I really do think Chris is probably going to be kind of that deciding factor between whether Aaron or Curtis kind of takes this game. But yeah, I feel like Aaron has an in with Fredo and Luis, and Curtis is kind of wanting to drop them. So we could see how that goes. So yeah, I think Aaron's definitely somebody to watch out for.
Yes. I'm excited to see what Aaron will bring. Aaron will be a great winner of the season. Like if she gets to the end, she had power and she willed it. So I like Aaron. I'm super excited for Aaron. I can't wait to see what she does in the merge. I will. It's an argument, but I think arguably one of the more fun cast members of the season. Like just a fun person, great vibes, great energy. Let's talk about Fredo.
Fredo. I like Fredo. You might think I'm being mean to you in your prod chat. You just make it very easy to be mean to you in your prod chat, and it's all love, of course. But yeah, I feel like Fredo is one of those people that like. It's similar to Aaron, where he didn't have to do much, but I feel like his almost pushes into too much when he didn't need to do anything. So I'm hoping that doesn't hurt him, because I really do like Fredo. I think him and Luis obviously have this bond that was like, I don't know if they played a game together or if they just instantly bonded or what, but
I don't think they have.
that's definitely a duo to watch out for sure. So yeah, I'm excited to see where that goes. I am hoping that Fredo or Luis gets dropped sometime soon so that the other can thrive and not rely on each other. So, and of the two, I'm not sure which one would get dropped first. I think Fredo visibly comes off as more of a threat because he's I don't know. I feel like they're both kind of loud on the Zooms. But I feel like, I don't know. I feel like Fredo could be the one of the two that goes earlier, but we'll see. That's just kind of the vibe I get.
I think if I had to whoops, I was muted.
You're fine.
I personally think Fredo is the person who will get further. I think there are issues. I think Fredo did a good job. I think one of the most active people on his first tribe. He's such a fun. I think people love Fredo. People enjoy Fredo a lot. And Fredo maybe might enjoy them. But I think the issue, because Fredo and Luis, they are a duo, but they have had their little tiff. We need to talk about that because Fredo.
I don't even know what really happened with that, so I might need a refresher.
So I think it started with Luis and Rodney talking, and they were talking a lot of game, and they were realizing they're talking a lot of game, and but Fredo was not talking as much with them, and Fredo was talking with them, but not a lot about a game, and they thought that means Fredo was hiding stuff and holding back from them, and Fredo was like, there's no need to talk about game right now, so why are we talking a lot of game?
Right.
But Luis felt that it was more of a, Fredo does not trust me as much as I trust Fredo. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes. And it did do a little tiff. And I'm be honest, I don't think it's been completely repaired because I think we did ask everyone to rank how much they trust them. I think at one point in time they would have been each other's number one. They are neither of each other's number one.
Right.
And let's talk about Fredo's number one being Curtis.
A mess.
I like Fredo. I think Fredo could do some damage. I think Fredo is a sleeper person that can win. I think if you don't watch Fredo, I think Fredo will sneak into the end and win this game. And I think even though he's not talking, I think people would be scared because Fredo. I like Fredo. I don't want Fredo to be upset with me, or Fredo has friends who's going to be upset if I make the move against them. That's why I think versus. So I think that's why people might hold off on Fredo a little bit. But let's talk about the person who I think could rival Fredo for the most fun castmate, and it's Kennedy.
Queen.
Love Kennedy.
Her vibes are just so good. She just is a ball of energy, and she's so much fun.
100%. She is a great ball of energy, and I don't think Kennedy understands how much power she has had in this game. The sole reason Daniel is still in this game is because Kennedy did not want to vote him out. Had Kennedy even somewhat wavered, Daniel would be gone and Cody would be in this game. But Kennedy is the sole reason, and I don't think Kennedy understands that. I think the fact that Kennedy was the first person, well, not the first person. Kennedy was along for the ride to take out Alex. Even after Alex and Antoinette would contemplate taking her out, she was like, "No, these are not my people." And I think she built a really good bond with Danny, and she has a decent relationship with Aaron. And she also went to Exile the last time her tribe lost, and she won a power. Did she? Because the safety without power.
It's interesting because it's something I definitely think she could need soon, because maybe not soon, but like in the near future, because while I do think Kennedy had a lot of traction and everything during the pre-merge phase, I don't necessarily think she has numbers right now. Like I think Daniel's obviously somebody she's close with, and I think she's semi-close with Antoinette still. Maybe a little bit with Aaron as well, but I just don't see her having the numbers. I think what this cast needs to do right now is they need to pull away, like Aaron, Fredo, and Luis could come together, obviously, as a 3. And then if Aaron can pull in Chris, and then also pull in Kennedy and Antoinette from their pre-merge, like that's 6 right there. Like that 6, I feel like could run stuff. And even if they pull in Rodney as a 7, leaving out Curtis and Danny, and then Amaya, and then there's one other that is just not coming to my brain immediately. Is it Daniel? Because I meant for Daniel to be in that.
Curtis, Chris, Daniel. Who do you not say? You have
Amaya. I know Amaya, anyway. Amaya, Curtis, and Danny for sure, and then whoever I didn't say. That's who I think they need to be leaving out of the votes and stuff, because I think that those people are the ones that are going to have the easiest chance to make it to the end. Whereas, like, if you have Luis, Fredo, and Aaron, and Chris, Antoinette, Rodney, all of them, Kennedy, like, I feel like there's a lot of wiggle room there where anybody kind of has a chance. I think Daniel is the one I didn't say. It's like that 8 needs to come together against the other 3, I feel. But I think a lot of them are going to be giving power to Curtis, Amaya, and Danny, and they need to not, or those 3 are just going to run stuff with Chris, I think. But
yes, and I think here's my thing, because Kennedy is like close to Amaya. Like Kennedy and Amaya are like close. Also has a good relationship with someone like Danny.
Danny, Amaya, and Kennedy recently have their alliance as well. So
yes, we love that energy. That's my draft team, baby. That's my fantasy draft team. We love that unity. But like, here's my opinion on Kennedy. I think this is reflected if you look at my product predictions of the jury. Like, I think Kennedy, in case this does not happen in the Curtis, Chris, Amaya fashion runs things, I think Kennedy could benefit from being the last person targeted, or one of the last people targeted. That's not a part of that group. And I think Kennedy wants to play, and I think Kennedy could surprise them, especially with the safety without power, because she also has not told anyone about it. So I think she can, like, one day I try to be like, vibes are off, I'm gone, and now they're crap out of luck, and now they gotta turn inwards. And I think Kennedy can do good things. I'm nervous for Kennedy though. Let's talk about the person who I think is in contention right now. The front runner, possible player of the season. The almost not on this cast. And I will admit, I was one of the voices being like, I don't know what you're going to bring on this cast. I was wrong. I was incorrect. Let's talk about Curtis.
Right.
You were right. I was wrong.
No, I don't know if we even need to talk about him, because we've been talking about him the whole time. But
like, no, truly, like Curtis, like, has these people basically giving them everything, including their firstborn.
Literally, like, it's ridiculous.
And like, I respect it. I respect game. I would have been intrigued to see Curtis on my season, see how that would have worked. I think he would have been good, but I don't know if he would have had as much power as he does with this cast.
Yeah.
I think Curtis is a very smart player. He thinks through. He's very social. He's one of the more people that's frequently around, so he's like able to check in on people. I think Curtis is killing this game. And like, if it's like, put your money on Curtis or House, like, even though it's 10 other people, there's a non-zero chance I put my money on Curtis. I'll be honest with you. Like, he's good at this. And I respect you, Curtis. I really do. I like you. I respect you. You're fun. Killing the game.
Yeah, I agree. He just has like a stranglehold on this whole cast for absolutely no reason.
But now we have talked about how Aaron has is like Curtis is someone that needs to go early, and I think there are other people like a Antoinette and Kennedy who has not fell in love with Curtis yet,
Yeah.
and I can see that. I've heard Ronnie and Luis talk about. Wait, pause. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about his pre-merge. Curtis has a stranglehold on his first tribe. Is in literally next to no danger.
Yep.
He is swap screwed. He is legit the only person
Literally.
from his original tribe going on a tribe where Rodney has been running around talking about how Curtis is the biggest threat on the board and needs to be voted out first possible time.
Yep.
They go to the tribal. Curtis is here. Curtis is still here. Like Curtis flipped those folks. So like it's not like he's just been given it. Like he earned it. He fought for this.
Yeah.
He worked for those people, and he's doing a great job. So I don't want it to be like it is a cakewalk, but it's like an earned cakewalk if that makes sense so far.
Yeah,
Like
I think that Curtis did a lot of work pre-merge to put
Mhm.
himself where he's at, which
Correct.
like he should not have been able to do, but he did it so well.
Yes, so great. Like so
Mhm.
smooth. Curtis was so good. I can do nothing but sing his praises. Now, but with that being said, I heard Luis and Roddy talk about Curtis cannot make a deep run because Curtis can win this. Will walk away with this game because
Yeah.
like he's social, he's smart, and he's really good at these challenges. From what they've seen so far. So
Yeah.
like, and Curtis is truly a triple threat, and if he goes away this season, we have an amazing 5-star winner.
Oh
Full
yeah,
stop.
absolutely.
But I like to see our winners have a little overcome something, which Curtis has already overcome. But like,
Yeah.
I think the Aaron battle that I think is brewing. Let's just talk about this Aaron Curtis brewing
And it
battle.
literally never happens. It's just one comment that she was like, "Oh, Curtis, maybe," and then they're like final two, and it doesn't matter.
Which, if so, good on you, Curtis. You're killing the game.
Exactly.
Let's talk. We got two more people to talk about. We're almost done. We got Luis. I like Luis. I really do. Yes. I think Luis. I'm not saying we put Luis on the wrong tribe, but I think Luis would have wanted to be on any other tribe but his tribe originally. Yeah. Like Luis came, I think, more than anyone else, came ready to play. Like he was ready to get down, strategize, do some blind sides, and I like that in the player. I like to see that from Luis. And I think it almost that we parted the tiff between Fredo and Luis in the swap was like Luis talking too much game and when we don't need to, which almost got him a little trouble. But I think it really did bond him a lot with Rodney, and I think Luis having Rodney is so great for Luis. As long as Luis is able to keep Rodney, that's a really good person for Luis to have. I worry about Luis though. I'm gonna be honest with you because I think he really is trigger happy and ready to make a move. And I think it could backfire on Luis if he tries something. What's your thoughts on Luis, Michael?
Yeah, so Luis was supposed to play last season, so I'm really excited that we got him this season. And I think he kind of does fit better with this group, to be honest. So I agree with you though, like him having Rodney as somebody that he could work far with, I think is smart because not a lot of people want to work with Rodney. So him pulling him in and being an advocate for Rodney to stay, I think would be good. Even if Rodney does go, like at least that's somebody on the jury for Luis. So I'm not quite sure where Luis's loyalty is going to end up lying by the end of it, but I am entertained by Luis, and I'm excited to see where his game goes.
I'm gonna talk to you why I'm nervous for Luis personally, and I think it's something similar to happen. Not talk about other games, but when I played Big Brother Hometown Second Chances, right? Like I lost a lot of my allies early on, and then it was like, dang, I don't have any more allies with me. And I think Luis, I think truly losing Gary was a hit to Luis. Losing Autumn talked about how Luis was her number one, was a hit. I think Tara was loyal to Luis, so that's a hit. And I don't know how far Rodney is going making this season, and if he loses Rodney early, that's a hit. And I'm like, Luis, you can't keep losing allies, if that makes sense. And that's my fear. That's my fear for Luis, because Aaron. And they talked about like Aaron is not talking to Luis talked to Fredo about how Erin's not talking to them as much as she used to, and how that's worrying him. Like, I fear Luis might be losing social capital in this game faster than what he expected to, and honestly, faster than what I expected.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that if Luis keeps losing allies, which is why I feel like Fredo could be going sometime soon, because I think people are going to clock Fredo. And I think when that happens, and then obviously Rodney's probably not staying around too long, unfortunately. I do think, and Daniel's another person I think Luis trusts. Daniel's probably not sticking around that long either. So Luis is going to just keep losing his people. And I think, unfortunately, for Luis, he's going to have to either win some challenges or he's going to be screwed. And I don't know if he's going to be the best challenge player. So he could end up in like a 7th, 8th place because he just doesn't have any capital anymore.
And that'll be a shame. I
agree.
But we're here to keep it honest with you. We're not going to sugarcoat it for y'all. But let's talk about. Would you say the main character of the season?
The main underdog of the season. Yeah, I don't know about main character. I think that might be Danny and Curtis, but
fair enough.
Well, honestly, they're kind of the antagonist to the protagonist here, so maybe it might be the main character. But I think we're losing our main character here soon. So,
let's talk about this journey that Rodney went on. Rodney, I love Rodney. Rodney prepared the most for the season. He watched back last season. He watched his challenges. He's studying, trying to make sure that he is ready to play this game. He comes in, hits the ground, puts his trust into Hunter of all people, and that's great.
A choice.
I would say, arguably the worst move Rodney has made this entire season was trusting Hunter. Yeah. And Hunter went back. Everything Rodney told Hunter, Hunter told everyone, and it was worse than what it actually was. like Rodney could be like, let me think. Oh, it was raining outside today. Hunter would go back and be like, there was a thunderstorm, and then hell opened up and swallowed everyone whole. Yeah. And people was like, oh my gosh. Well, he was just like, it was raining. And truly, I think a big part of why Danny hates Rodney is because of a misconstrued comment that which was completely innocent on Rodney's part, and
they didn't let him. How Danny heard it, it makes sense, their reaction. So
correct. Their reaction was correct. But had Danny heard what Rodney actually said, Danny would not have this much hate, which is the bad thing. We hate games of telephone. We hate it.
Yeah.
And then
that's why we make it the first challenge.
We love that. But Ronnie was, and I think Ronnie got on the bad side of Curtis because of the comment. Offhand comments he told Hunter that Hunter told Curtis, and Curtis we talked about had basically had a stranglehold on this game. So that's not a person you want to have against you. But Ronnie was blessed being exiled for the very first tribal, because now 0 chance Ronnie's the first win of the season if he wasn't, and he wins a mutiny ticket, and he thinks he's in a good spot. He's like, I got Hunter.
A mess. Every time he goes, nah, I'm good. No, bestie, you're not. You're not good.
No, not at all. And he does not realize it, because these people, even though what they say behind his back to each other, they do not show it to Ronnie. They pretend that everything was all good up until immunity challenge jumped through results, and Danny and Hunter let the cat out the bag, and Ronnie was blindsided that these people hated him, legit blindsided. And I was like, thank God his eyes have finally been open, but it almost didn't save him. Let's go back to the SI votes. I think Ronnie received the same number of votes as Danny.
I think it was 2.
yeah, I think they both received 2. So it's Ronnie, luck was on his side, truly. And thank goodness he's safe, and he used his mutiny ticket that he won from the first tribal, swapped over to Mesopotamia, to try to build relationships over there with people like Luis, people like Fredo. Little did he know that was not the most active tribe, so he couldn't really get his message out as much as he wanted. But like, and then he chose from his second SL to be one of the captains, and truly did a really good job in stacking his team with good challenge competitors and people who like seemed like they wanted to work with him, and the person he wanted out of the game most, which was not Danny, despite the fact that Danny came from him. It was Curtis, because Rodney is like, Danny might not like me, but Curtis is the actual threat.
Yeah.
Which is so smart, such a good game sense from Rodney. I think everything was going right. It just so happens that Curtis is such a good game player. Is so good at this. That that it flipped what Rodney had, and to the point where Rodney's in an alliance with Curtis.
Like, how the fuck did that actually, like, how? Like, I know that Curtis is sitting here, like, not wanting to be with Luis, Fredo, or Rodney now, but, like, the fact that Rodney was okay with that, like, bestie, come on, like, work with Tara, like, go with Tara, go with anybody else, like, come on.
Like, it hurts, it sucks, but I will say, we got what we wanted from Ronnie though, which was to find people that actually wants to play with him, actually likes him. He got a good relationship with Luis. We don't talk about Fredo. I think he's building a good bond with Antoinette. I think if Daniel was around more, Daniel and Ronnie would hit it off good. I can see Daniel and not Rodney and Kennedy doing good things. So I think there's a path for Rodney. Unfortunately, in my humble opinion, I think Rodney is going to be going out, whether it's the first or second vote of Live Night. I don't think Rodney has a lot of runway left.
Yeah, no.
Which is disheartening. I think mark it down. If Rodney makes it to the end of this game, whatever he wins or not, best story in Surviving 1984 history.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He should have been first boot. He should have been second boot. He should have been third boot. Like he literally should have gone at every single round, and he somehow has managed not to. Whether that's luck or not, like luck is part of this game. He's actually only been to one tribal council, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
And so
and that's a terrible.
I don't know. Like he has the potential to possibly win immunity tonight, and then we'll see what happens during Live Night. But if he's able to make it a Live Night, I feel like I think he obviously will need to use that time to the best of his ability. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happened. But we talked about everyone left in the merge. I think this has the potential of being anywhere from a Redemption Idol style merge with Curtis being boss to Rob to one of the most wild merges we've ever had, especially considering, and we're not going to spoil it yet. These people need to stay on their toes for this merge because we got them fucked up.
Yeah. Especially the first two rounds, and then honestly 9 is 3-2. So like we'll see. I don't know. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, I'm very excited. This is a fun group. Like honestly, whether I said positive or negative things about you, I love everyone on this merge. I'm so happy that they're here. And
everything obviously we have said has been very much game. I do really enjoy this whole cast, and I'm excited to see what they can give to us. So,
all right. Well, with that being said, do you have any final thoughts, Michael?
That is it. That's all I got.
All right. I appreciate you coming on with me and talking about these crazy folks. I'm excited to see how this season plays out. All right.
Yes, me too.
See y'all.